Witness testimony continues today in the high-profile sex trafficking trial for music mogul Sean Diddy Combs. Right now, we are joined by Heather Waddell. She is a criminal defense attorney here in Chicago, joining us now to kind of help us break down what's been going on. Heather, thanks for joining us this afternoon.
Thanks for having me, Sylvia.
So I know you've been tuning in. We've been tuning in, reading a lot about what's going on. The jury is certainly hearing a lot of emotional testimony. But let's talk about his former girlfriend. The public has seen that damaging video of her running from him at the hotel. She's now testifying how her relationship with him impacted her. How would you strategize against this? Because, as I said, a lot of emotions involved here, and you would think it would be tugging at the jury's heartstrings.
You're absolutely correct. And that is one of the hardest things to overcome, honestly, as a criminal defense attorney, is overcoming the emotional impact that something like this, sex cases, can have on people, on lay people, we call them, sitting in a jury that don't listen to these things every single day. Because at first blush, these allegations sound pretty horrendous and awful. But the prosecution does have some issues, considering the fact that Cassie Ventura and Diddy did have a years-long, consensual relationship, given all of these parties they attended and any, loving relationship that they did have over a significant period of time. So you can't discount, all of that when you have consenting adults. Mm-hmm. You have to, really make sure you enforce to the jury. You need to put your emotions aside and really focus only on what the prosecution is able to prove to you and show to you and beyond a reasonable doubt indicate to you is what is happening.
So it sounds to me like you're saying, if it was your case, that that's the thing you would emphasize, is that they had this consensual relationship for a long time, and then at some point it apparently became a problem. But can't you see the prosecution saying this turned into a situation where she became a victim of domestic violence? How do you recover from that?
Sure. And if he was being charged with domestic violence in this case, mm-hmm. That might be a different story. But to use that essentially just to say that this was maybe part of the criminal enterprise, part of the racketeering that they're charging him with, the sex trafficking, that again becomes a different story. So you have to kind of say, even if it did turn one way or the other, what it really comes down to is witness credibility. And if we have, again, multiple witnesses who will be, obviously cross-examined throughout this trial, indicating that, they were coerced, they might have a particularly hard time, the prosecution, with Cassie Ventura in coercion or influence in any way by Diddy, given that she was famous in her own right, mm-hmm. had her own wealth, and that it wasn't something where she needed Diddy necessarily to give her any of these things in order to be coerced. So I think they do have some problems with that in this case.
I want to jump in because I want to ask you one last question, and that is, if he was your client, would you put Sean Diddy Combs on the witness stand?
Absolutely. Given his, again, decades-long goodwill with the entire world. He's had a prolific music career, entertainment career. He was given, I mentioned in an earlier segment, 2 different Lifetime Achievement Awards in the last few years. He's beloved, and he is no stranger to criminal charges throughout his life, but he has come through all of the smattering of charges, unscathed. And he's come out of them and continued a career that, again, has been prolific. So I would absolutely put him on the stand. He is likable. He is, I think, believable. And I think that when you have kind of he said, she said cases like this, which is, again, really what it's going to come down to, the credibility of the witnesses, I think you have to put him on the stand.
Heather Waddell, attorney, thank you so much for joining us. Keep an eye on this case for us. We'd love for you to join us again sometime. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Sylvia.